Me?
Hello.
Hi there.
Hello, Anthony.
How are you? Am I coming in clear?
Yes.
All right, very good. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on the Indigo Sessions podcast. Uh, for the listeners, I just want to introduce my guest today is Dilmi Mahadurage. Is that correct?
Mahadurage.
Mahadurage. My apologies.
Yes.
Very good. And she is an enlightenment coach. And what I want to do actually is just kind of let her take it from here and just share with people what it is that she does. So, Dilmi, if you want to take it from here, what is
Yes.
it that you do, and how is it that you help or you serve people?
Well, Anthony, like, like mostly I just have weekly sessions with my clients. And what I do with them is I support them with what is meditation, and I support them with contemplation and self inquiry, and which is the real inner work, because we have been so distracted by what is the real work and what is the not real work. So what I suppose them to figure out basically who they are at the deepest core. That is, in summary form, that what I do.
Very good. No, I like that. That's simply put. What about the age ranges of the people that you see? Do those differ, or is it kind of a particular specific group?
To be honest, I work with people who are at age 20 to 40, and there's a reason why I do that, because I feel like there's a high potential that for young crowd, for young people to realize this truth as an experience. The reason is because they are very less conditioned compared to someone who is, like elder than 40s. So, I
Yeah.
mean, yes, it's always the potential is there, but then I feel like there's more potential towards people who are at very young age, like 20 to uh, like 30, especially because the reason is if you take Osho, he realized this truth at age 21. And, uh, and then my teacher, he realized at 19. And if you take Sadhguru, 25, and Eckhart Tolle, 29. And I realized this at age 28. And Buddha realized this truth and attained enlightenment at age 35. So the reason why there's a high potential is because they are very less conditioned. Otherwise, this truth is the most simplest truth that there could be. But yet, then again, like since we are so conditioned by the society, and that's the reason why we don't say it. Yeah.
Yes. Now, also, can you there's a lot of different interpretations of enlightenment
Mm.
uh, that I know are pretty prevalent here in the U.S. Can
Mm.
you can you share your definition or how you would describe it? I don't know if definition is the right word because
Yeah.
it just what it encompasses or what it doesn't.
Well, it is like figuring out who you are. That's the thing. It is very simple. And it is your true nature. You start seeing the reality as it is, and that is what I mean by enlightenment. And it's like realize who you are at the highest potential. And it's not that you're like, I mean, it's a discovery. It was
Yeah.
already with you, and it's like we are already sitting on enlightenment, I could say. And like if you ask from a fish, uh, what is water, where is water, and then fish will be confused because he would the fish wouldn't be able to figure it out what is water because it was already in the water you
Yes.
know it's already in the water, so it would be it's just like that, I could say.
Do you ever get
Yeah.
asked? do you ever get asked why it is that we have to go through that stuff before we can actually have that kind of just idea of ourselves, of life, of everything? Why can't we
Yeah,
just be, born into it and just we see
yeah,
that and it stays with us? Instead, we it gets diluted and it gets masked and just
yeah.
different things. Well, like you said, conditioning.
Yeah, it's because of what we like, the beliefs that we have, and we have so much beliefs about how what is the reality and all that, and we are clinging into these beliefs and the dogmas and what we are being conditioned our whole lifetime, and that is the reason, Otherwise, to be very honest, like when I realized this, like when I went through the awakening in 2019 November, I was like, oh my God, this is so simple. How come everyone don't get
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
And I wanted to I don't know, like it's just so simple. And we are being like, that is the reason, like so conditioned, we just clinging to the beliefs, you know. But the truth is beyond any beliefs, any beliefs. To be very honest, every belief is false. And that's what I realized, talking from my experience. And every belief is false, Like, let me take an example, like imagine you've never tasted, like, okay, let's say ice cream, and I come and tell you, oh, like ice cream tastes like this and all that, and you have never tasted ice cream. And then when I tell you about how the ice cream tastes like, now you have an intellectual understanding about how ice cream tastes like, and then one day you go and taste that for yourself, and then like you no longer need, and then you have a direct experience how ice cream tastes like, you know, and now
yeah,
you don't want really anyone telling you like, oh, you don't need to cling to any beliefs how ice cream tastes like, which I've shared, because now you already have the direct experience of it, So
yes,
it's like that, I could say. Yeah. It's because of all our conditioning that we need to go through that inner work and that period, I had to work on myself for nearly like 10 plus years, like a real intense inner work. And yeah,
how do
because
you
yeah, yeah,
no, go ahead.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because we need to be purified, because we born as very innocent beings, and then we are being very much conditioned and conditioned. And if you take an elderly person, they are very much not so happy and cheerful compared to a small baby. The reason is all that conditioning. We just lose our innocence, that joy and that happiness we had as a baby. So yeah, yeah.
Now you also just you recently released a book. I don't know how recent it is. I'm saying recent because it's recent for me. But
Yeah.
how long has the book been out?
I released that on, I guess, in 2020, December 24th or 25th, on Christmas Day.
Okay.
Yeah, I
All right.
guess. I
Very nice.
believe.
And I
Yeah.
did, I did enjoy the book myself. I thought it was a great read. It was definitely in the true spirit of like a master's format.
Uh,
It wasn't wordy. It was concise, and it
yeah.
definitely drew you in. So I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend people pick that up and check that book out. It's definitely
Yeah.
worth the read. But what inspired you or motivated you to put pen to paper and go forward with the book?
Well, the reason is like, how would I know how long I would live? And I thought, like, I realized something which is very profound. And then I thought, why not put that into something so that others can enjoy it, and then, I feel like, I don't know, it's just I got this urge, and when my dad passed away in 2020 May, and then after that, I really, like, the next step I took was I wrote this book because I don't know when I'm going to die. So I
Yes.
thought that I would like to just put this on. And because, if anyone just become interested in this truth, and if any support they get from this book that would be very much enough for me. That itself is huge. So, and so that is really what inspired, because I don't know how long I'm going to live. So I wanted to really just put it in the most simplest form that even a kid can understand. And then I just released that book. Yeah, that's what really inspired. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you. And then uh, do you write on, aside from like what you did with the book there, do you do other stuff as far as like, pen to paper, poems, or any kind of short stories?
Well, not really, like I've written some blog post, and I've posted that on website, and sometimes I also, one time I posted on Mindwell Insights, and also, like, not really, I don't do that much.
Yes.
Yeah. But
Okay. No.
sometimes I write post on Instagram if I get the feeling. So yeah.
So do you still find yourself studying a lot of other material now, as far as the stuff that you're taking in yourself?
Well, not really, to be honest. Like in the awakening, what really, after that, I just, like, I lost the interest to, like, I mean, it just seeking stopped. That's what really, I mean, as a difference, because like, that's what, there was a Zen story which he says that, like, uh, before the awakening, what they did was chopping woods and carrying water,
Yes.
and all that. Even after that, what they did was the same. So that was the same, but there was one difference in me, was like I stopped seeking. You know,
Yes.
yeah.
Now, do you come from a big family?
I have like two sisters and one brother.
Are you
Yeah.
are you the only one that talks the way you do amongst your family?
Um, well, my brother is also interested in this, and
Yeah.
uh, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, and I was always very much keen on this area. Like, I don't know, like it was the only thing which, like, I don't know, it was just, I was always drawn to this work. And even though I was doing my degree, but it was like, 90% of my focus was with this inner work and spirituality. And because I didn't understand, like, I feel like, how come everyone is not interested in this work? Because I feel like it's obvious, it's just, yeah. So even though I worked and all that, did other work in my life, but my focus was always in spiritual work.
How early do you recall that starting?
Starting, well, I could say that from the very beginning, like when I was like from 6 years onwards, like I think we have been taught Buddhism in school as a subject. So we heard this word called enlightenment always from the school, and also Sri Lanka is a very spiritual country, like in
Hmm.
terms of Buddhism, it's always like, even if you listen to the radio, some monk talking.
Yes.
And so it's just very much in the culture and all that. This enlightenment word was always I heard. And there was one time it really hit me, I could say. Like, I was like 14 years, I could say. And there was this one monk was talking in the TV. And in that, like, he said something very interesting. He said that what happens when black and white puts it together, something like that, he said. And I was like, what did he say? Like,
Yes.
it was just, it really hits me. And I feel like there's something in there. It really just touched my heart when he said that. It hits me. And then I wanted to find this monk. And then somehow I figured his name and then listened to so many DVDs of him and all that. And from there onwards, somehow, like, I was always into this work and I was constantly searching for this truth. And to be very honest, like, I could say everyone is looking for this truth. That's what they look for from drugs, from sex, from food, from looking for happiness. And the ultimate happiness is what is you call enlightenment. So, and I was looking for it too. I was looking for in the food. I was even uh, addicted to food because it was the form of love, like form of how I wanted to get love was through food.
Yes.
You know, and I did many things to make myself happy, but then I realized just not lasting. It's not. It's just not it. It's like I always had some emptiness inside. So did
How did
many
you know
things
where?
to make myself happy. Yeah.
How
Yes,
did you?
Anthony.
How did you know where to go or where to start when you began your search or your quest for finding what you were looking for?
Well, I had no clue. I had no clue. I didn't even know what I was doing. I honestly didn't know what I was doing. And I was clueless. And it just, yeah, even there were times what I was questioning myself, am I going in the right path? What if there's nothing like that?
Yeah.
And yeah, I was sort of clueless when I was starting it. But then, like, I went with the flow, I could say. I just, whenever something hits me, or like, and or sometimes I get goosebumps listening to something and it touched me in my heart, and I go for it.
So
I
it was like,
don't question or anything like that.
yeah,
Whatever touch my heart, I just go for it, and I go. When I go for full in. You know,
yes,
yeah. For example, I could say that one time I was listening to a woman who was talking about a near-death experience, and then like my sister asked me to come and watch that. She found that interesting, and then I went there and I like she was, and then I was listening to her, and then while listening to her, I got goosebumps, and I felt this woman talks the truth. you know I'm sure, like, I just in my heart I know this woman talk. It's like, so like, it was a near death experience, and it's like out of this world stuff. But
yeah,
yet again, in my heart, I know this woman talks the truth. How I know it? It's just the energy, because energy doesn't lie. And I got goosebumps, and I felt really touched by what the message she was delivering. It was like, she was like going through a cancer, and then how she recovered by realizing that, like, how important is self-love. And that is after she started loving herself that she recovered it from. And that really touched me. And after that, I went full in with her work, and I like I could say like self-love is the beginning of a journey, in a spiritual journey, you know.
Yeah.
So that really touched me. And then so these things, which if something hits me, or like that monk I told in the past, like like previously I shared that when that monk was talking about his black and white together, what happens, and then that hits me, and then I went full in with this work and listened to so many, and then this woman's work and about regarding self-love and all that. And I realized I had to do a lot of self-love work, you know, initially. And
Yeah.
so that is how I went across my like path. I in the beginning I was clueless, and I didn't even know what I was looking for, and I didn't even know whether enlightenment even exists. Yeah.
So now, the story about the monk. Did you work with a monk, or did you have a monk as a master at one point?
Uh, well, that monk I couldn't really in touch with, but then again, like afterwards, some years after, in 2018, I met, like, I just happened to watch a lot of YouTube, like, he has a YouTube channel, and then I happened to watch, like, his series of videos, and then I recognized that this is what I'm looking for, and I wanted to meet him. And I'm like, I mean, if you want to know the full story, I think you can always check out my other podcast. You know, you can see the whole story. I'm just sharing like the short version. And then I met him, and then I got the opportunity to work with him one on one. And I felt, even with him, I felt like, you know, when I listen to someone, I always feel that like, to be honest, like when I'm listening to that my teacher, I felt like he was talking from a center.
Yes.
It's not so like, oh, I feel like he's talking from an experience, talking from a center. I felt that authenticity in the words, and the energy of those words have some energy in it. It's like very powerful. And so yes, and I got the opportunity to work with him, and that's such a privilege. And I worked with him, yes, for 1 year, and after that I experienced this truth for myself as a direct experience. Yeah.
So are you kind of at a I wouldn't say a level, but are you do you have a lot of the same knowledge that a monk would have? Because you're in essence like a master at this point, right? I mean, and
Well, I don't know.
yeah, and I'm not trying to be funny about that at all, but when I
Yeah,
think about it, it's like that
yeah.
puts you in kind of in the role of being someone's teacher, right? You're kind of teaching them some tools that they need to acquire what they need for, like, a greater journey.
Well, yes, you know, like I think it's like getting the support from a person who has already experienced this truth could be really makes a huge difference, you know.
Yes.
And yeah, that just makes a huge difference, because I was, to be honest, like I was trying to figure this out for myself for nearly 8 years. But then
Uh-huh.
once I met the teacher, it was just fast track the whole process within 1 year's time. It just, everything changed for me, you know.
Yes.
So I think that's, yeah, like if someone works with someone who has already gone in the path, it's a huge thing, you know. It just makes a huge difference, I could say, because they already know what they're talking, you know. Otherwise, like, I mean, this path is already tricky, I could say. The reason is this: where's the destination? Destination is already you, you know.
Yes.
I mean, the target is already within you, so that is why it's very tricky, and that's why I was confused and lost and clueless where what I'm doing. And it's always, it's like move into inward,
Yeah.
something completely a different journey, I could say. But it's when you're going deeper and deeper, it becomes very tangible, the energies and all that becomes more like, imagine you're seeing the phone right in front of you. It's like energy becomes like that. It looks very tangible. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as inner work goes nowadays, do you
Yeah.
find yourself still engaged in that personally?
Mm, well, sometimes I get the urge to do meditation and then I just sit and do it. But it's not like a daily practice or anything like that. I don't think, I mean, to be honest, like meditation is a way of life, after I mean, I feel I'm already living in the now,
Yes.
because I don't want to even try that. Because in the past, like when I was reading Eckhart Tolle, I was trying to be in the now. But for me, I feel like I was trying so hard for that, and it didn't really work out for me that well. But it supported me immensely in that time period. But then again, I was trying so hard, but then it became effortless, because I realized meditation is not something you do for like just for a certain period of time, it's just a way of life, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So now, people that you work with, or that you work with, do
Hmm.
you put them on I wouldn't say put them, but do you recommend that they like get on a kind of a regular program of meditation, or are you kind of just open about that? Do you kind of,
Um,
I guess, do
yeah.
you kind of, because you're saying it's a lifestyle, so I would imagine you probably share with people how to incorporate those things to make that manifest in that way.
Yeah, it depends on the person to person. For some, yes, I have asked them to do the regular practice of meditation, but it doesn't need to be so like, it doesn't need to be like a must, you know. It's their choice, like to be honest, like the young crowd, they have so much energy. So they could swim while meditate. They can run like while meditating, you know,
Yeah.
and they can be active and do like become that meditation. You know what I mean? So sometimes it depends. For some people, yes, I've shared techniques they can work on,
Yeah.
and yeah, sometimes I give them contemplations and where they need to ask questions over and over again from themselves, like for example, what is a thought, you know? And I just ask them to contemplate on that 40 minutes. And this, when you're going deeper, it's just you're going deeper and deeper into it, and it's very powerful. I think
Yeah.
a contemplation is a very powerful tool anyone can use who is seeking on this path. I think these are the real inner work. I mean, there are so many versions of stuff out there, but then I mean, it's very important to figure out like what is like real inner work and what is not. Yeah.
And what are your thoughts on prayer?
Prayer, like, yeah, you can pray while, I mean, I think it is also something, it's good, it's good. Like, if you're doing it with more mindfully, I think even that could be a practice itself.
Yeah.
How what matters is whether you're conscious, whether you're mindful by praying, then doesn't matter whether you're praying or like sweeping the floor then, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that meditation and prayer are one and the same, or the lines are blurred? And I ask that because I know that here in the States, it's definitely blurred. People have a misconception of what those two things are, and they're both very different in their purpose and their function.
Mm.
So I would just like to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, my thoughts on that is like, yes, you can pray, of course, like, no problem. But then how you approach the prayer, how mindful you are while praying, that's what matters, how conscious you are. I mean, if you are just like, praying to get something and all that, I need this and all that, then, I mean, I don't know, like, that, I don't know how to say. It's like there could be people who are wishing many things and all that.
Yeah.
That I don't find that really fruitful or anything like that, but it's their wish. But what my thoughts about that is like you can pray while make it a meditation, and that would be so good, and that would make a transformation in your life. Otherwise, you just go pray and I want this, I want that, and like that I don't really recommend, or like I can't see any any reason. I don't know. Just yeah.
Now, where you're at, are you near a beach?
What?
Where you live, are you near a beach?
Not really. No, no.
No.
I'm like more towards the countryside. I could like the mountains and you know.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any hobbies?
Hobbies in sense, yes, I go like cycling with my brother, and I love it. And what else I do? I watch movies. I cook sometimes, I love to bake stuff, and it's really nice when I bake something. I hope others find that safe, And I love baking, and what else I do? Sometimes I play even video games.
Now, what kind of movies do
I
do
read
you watch?
books. I read books. Yeah.
What kind of
Uh,
movies do you
what?
watch?
Um, what kind of movies? Like I I I mean, I would love to watch sort of. I mean, I would love to watch comedies.
Yeah.
Like I love to watch comedies, and whenever I get time, I watch comedies. And sometimes I find movies like Matrix and Total Recall, and another movie. I mean, these are sort
Action
of give.
action movies
It's not really action. It gives some
or
deeper meaning in it.
Mhm.
Like I love watching that kind of movies. And
Did
I
you say
find that Total Recall, and even I mentioned that in my book, 2012 Total Recall, that
yeah.
is the same message I'm giving. What is real with how would you define the reality? Like, just, yeah. So I watch anything. Yeah.
Do like I asked I like you said The Matrix, right?
Yeah.
No, I like that one too myself. There are
Mm,
times
mm.
there are times though when I have to kind of pull away from it because there's just a lot of a lot of gunfire going on. It just gets
Oh,
really
yeah.
intense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it kind of takes me to places that I don't really care to go to. Not that it takes me to any violent place at all. It's
Mm,
uncomfortable to listen to it like
yeah.
all the time like that.
Exactly.
And
Mm,
I say that because I believe you're an empath. Is that right?
exactly. Yeah. I am an empath.
Yeah. I say that too because it's like, you said movies and I said, oh, that's good. I'll ask her about movies too because I find that like it happens. It's more so now. I'm just more aware of the movies that I watch and like I kind of like am able to just draw the limit right away on what I think is going to be okay for me. And it's interesting too, because I mean, you can be taken away by a movie and just go there mentally. And not to say that you're going to do anything that you saw on the movie, but it can change your perspective, your thought of stuff. It can kind of put a particular feeling or mood inside of you. You know? I don't think that a lot of people recognize that right away or immediately. But I know for me, it's like I do recognize it. And
Yeah.
it's like, but kind of a cheesy thing to, or a corny thing here to like tell people to like be careful of what you watch. But it really is
I think
important
what you're
too,
saying is true.
because
100%.
yeah,
I agree.
it's
100%.
which you're taking in with the senses you're consuming in
Exactly.
that,
It's
you know.
inputs out in, yeah. I mean, it's very important what you put inside you, like it's just going to stay inside you. Now, to be very honest, like as you shared this whole thing, I
Yeah.
didn't aware in the past I was an empath, and there were time I was watching horror movies, and I felt terrible after watching that,
Yes.
and then later I realized, wow, there's a crazy impact on this, more and more I became aware, like when these things put inside you, like what is real, you can't figure it out, and it's going to haunt inside you. It's extremely, you need to be very like careful what you're putting inside you. And for me, like I had a very bad effect on these horror movies. And when I was watching that as an empath, I felt what these characters were feeling. It was terrible to watch that, and now I no longer watch any horror movies, and it's very important what you're putting inside. Like even when you watch news,
Yes,
it
absolutely.
trains you. Yeah,
How are
yeah,
you in crowds?
yeah. Like, well, yeah. Sometimes it really drains me. Like the only place
Yeah.
that I felt was very nice is like not like I feel it's like it's interesting with crowds. I felt very nice when I'm in a theme park. I feel
Yeah.
like everyone is so happy there. I love to go. Whenever I go to a country, I always want to go to the theme park. Like uh, like these theme parks. So I just want to go there. So I love there because the energy is so amazing. Most of the people are very much happy, and it feels so good. Yeah.
What was your favorite theme park?
I
Or
think Disney World, but then I haven't been there. Yeah. I, so the things were like the ones that I've gone to, I think one in Malaysia, some called Sunway Lagoon, was very nice. And there's another one in New Zealand called Rainbow's End, and it was very nice too. Yeah. I love this whole thing, the cotton candy. I mean,
now,
we're all kids inside, though we act like so adults, like, let's be honest.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you return back to your childlike state or your childlike innocence, huh?
yeah, yeah. Even recently, I ate cotton candy. Whenever I see cotton candy somewhere, I just stop there and I buy that. Just sometimes I don't even eat it. Just I love that. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now you also talked about you read books.
Yes.
What was the last book you read?
What was I lost? I think essentialism. Yeah.
All right, that's an interesting title. Is
Yeah.
your book taste eclectic? Is it a wide variety, or do you kind of like get into a particular subject?
Actually, it was like recommended by someone, and then I thought, okay, I will give it a go. And he said that it was very interesting. And it was about like focusing on one thing, something which is like, like more like saying no to things more and being focused on what really matters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to go back to you being we talked about being an empath. How is that
Yeah.
when you work with people? Does that
Well, yeah.
affect you in that way, or are you able to do what you need to get through the day there?
Like sometimes, to be honest, like there were times when the client is crying, I'm crying too. So obviously it affects me. And there are techniques I've heard that way I can really, like have that space without getting affected. But I don't understand how to do it, because I'm there to heal them. So that presence is the one, like that, that unconditional, that presence is one which really heals them. So I don't know how not to get affected by it and also like healing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
Because I need
draining?
to be there. It's like sometimes I feel like there's no Dilmi. I have merged with the client. Just the
Yeah.
presence. Yeah. I have, yeah.
Now, is that draining for you, or does that kind of have the reverse effect and maybe give you a little energy after these sessions or your meeting?
It's not really draining me, actually. I don't think it drains me. And, but sometimes when they cry, and I cry with them because I feel how they feel exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm doing when I'm seeing people healing, and they come and tell how it's like for them, and that really touched me. That really touched me, and yeah, I love what I'm doing. That the work that I'm doing really energized me, I could say. Yeah,
Oh, very nice.
yeah. I'm very grateful for what I'm doing. It's
Wonderful.
beautiful to see like people are getting transformed and healed. Every day I hear stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as far as spirituality goes, well, how would you define that or describe that? Because I believe too that the impression here where I'm at is that it's a part of your life. When
Mm.
for me, I believe it's encompassing the whole thing.
Mm.
And to have the idea that it's a part is just unhealthy and incorrect. So I mean, in regards to like, I guess that standpoint, I guess that's where I'm coming from with the question of how would you describe spirituality?
Yeah, I think it's a balance between your material life and spiritual life both together. It shouldn't be a part of your life, it's a way of your life. It's supposed to be, that's why I said even a meditation is supposed to be a lifestyle. And that is the new, like I could say that is the new way of spirituality. Sometimes there were people who asked me why you're not in mountains meditate. Like, then why do I need to go to a mountain? Like that means I get disturbed. My peace get disturbed when I'm in the society. And if that's the case, what kind of a peace I have there? You know?
Yeah.
So does it make sense? If I need to go to mountains in order to protect my peace, I don't want that kind of peace anyway. I would rather, be here. Come on. Yeah.
Now,
So I think it's something like it's a way of life. It doesn't need to be something you do, like it's something separate. It's a way of life. And they're like all my clients, they have their own life. Some people are musicians, some people are studying their PhD, some are teaching, some are teachers, and they have their own lifestyle. What I say is incorporate this truth in their life, and they would be more amazing in even what they're doing. they would be more mindful, and it's a way of life. Even I was being, I also was asked to come and join this whole and become a nun, but I never went on that path because I don't understand why I need to become a nun, because it's just, it's, like I feel like with like the monastery life, that's just not so many challenges in there. Here, like with living a normal life, man, that's where the real challenges are. That's where you get real shit, in your
Yeah.
life, and that's the truth. Like that's why Ram Dass says, like, if you think you're enlightened, go live with your parents for 1 week. I mean, that's, I think that's pretty good, and that's the truth. Live with that crowd, and if you can be peaceful, I mean, then you're good to go.
No, yes,
Yeah,
I'm familiar with that quote. That is funny.
yeah, that is, and that's the truth, because the people who are you are with, or like you're sharing a lot of history, and that's the most difficult to deal with, and you can go, I mean, if you live like a monk, like, I mean, I respect that, it's amazing, and what they do and all that, but I feel like here you have the real challenges in life, and if you can be realized, and if you can live a mindful life while doing that, I mean, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Are you big on goal setting?
Well, not really, to be very honest. I don't have like yes, I have things to do, but then again, I don't have like, oh yeah, I do this and that. Yeah, no, I'm not big in that.
And so,
Yeah.
and the people that you work with, you don't suggest they set goals. You have a different approach for that.
Uh, well, that goal setting, and that's a different coaching, that is
Yeah.
not really what I am focused on. What I'm supporting them with is realizing who they are at their deepest core, which is figuring out who they are. And what I say is, even if you have as a goal as enlightenment, you need to let go of that too.
Okay.
So I'm like
Okay.
someone who take out later. Yeah. I
No,
mean,
I know that.
of course they can have goals, of course,
Yeah.
even like I'm not so big on it, but then I also have goals. But then again, not as goals like, I don't know how to say that. But yeah, I don't do that work with my clients, not that manifesting and all that.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm focused. Yeah.
Do they have? Do you require a lot of reading from them?
Yeah. What do you mean, like?
Well, actually, do you? I was actually my question was more along those lines. Do you have any
Hmm.
required reading that for the people that you work with? Not that you have to, or that I'm just asking if that's something you do because you seem to like books, and maybe
Yeah.
you're excited about a particular book that really stood out to you that maybe you recommend a lot.
Mm. I find it interesting, the book, which is called The Book of Not Knowing. And those are the books actually I recommend. And because this book really take out your knowledge,
Yeah.
that really pulls out of. And that is what, that is what spirituality is about, and figuring out what is real and what is not real, And knowledge is amazing. I have nothing against knowledge. It's amazing. But then again, like, knowledge is not your experience. It's you have got from someone else. It's their experience. It's not yours, And it's like you're borrowing other people's stuff, but what matters is what's your experience, And if you have the direct experience, that's what matters. I mean, knowledge is useful in the material, I mean, in day-to-day life to do things, but in terms of spiritual life, it's about letting go of what you think you know.
Yeah.
And when I had to like really let go of all I know in order to figure out who I am for real. Yeah,
Yes.
it's very
So now,
deep.
the people that you work with, are they kind of already in the middle of their journeys, or like have they kind of broken through a particular threshold when they get with you?
Yes, yes, some of them, yes. And some people, they are all brand new to the whole thing, and then like we work together and then they become really interested. And then they saying that, oh, I want to go deeper in this work. And they find they see the potential of their work. And then they go very deep and, yeah. Some of them, yes, they've already was in the path and was like, sort of doesn't know where to go in, and then they just find me and then they work with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before your awakening, how would you describe your life?
Like, of how long? Like, before and for how, what do you mean?
Well, and that's very kind of like open, I know, but
Yeah.
whatever comes to mind, basically. What would you can you recall, like, first and foremost, like what comes up quickly that either you liked or didn't like?
I was like, it was, I could say the life is the same, nothing really changed in my life. But I
Yeah.
could say, that's why I said there was a one difference that happened was that I stopped seeking. And then and before I always had this, even though I did things, I did bungee jumping or things like that to make myself happy. But then, I mean, I always had that, you know, I did many things to make myself happy. But then I've had this emptiness, some empty feeling inside me, deep, which I wanted to fill it with something, food or something, with a friend or from a relationship. But I just, I could say that I felt very complete after the awakening. You know,
Yes.
for the first time, I felt really complete. I could say, first time in my life.
Complete's a good word. That's definitely a good way of describing that.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you do any
yeah.
do you do any art?
Mm, well, I don't do any art actually. No, my art is my coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you do like do you do like person to person, or are you doing like online right now?
Oh, yeah, I do online, face to face, like, through Zoom calls. Yeah. But I'm very
How,
grateful, that we can connect. I have coached people from Africa and Europe and then Asia and USA. I mean, it's so amazing that we could have the technology to do that and connect with all these people. It's
no, I
just such
agree
a
that
privilege. Yeah, it's
it's
just
amazing.
I mean, even the fact that we are talking right now, it's
Yes, no, I
magic.
agree,
You know,
100%.
yeah. Otherwise, we would never met. They've
Yeah.
never met. Yeah.
So now, what do you do for I don't know, I guess well, you said your coaching is your artistic outlet.
Hmm.
So at this point now, you're in a fulfilled place, And
Yeah.
I'm saying this not to be condescending at all, but to just
Mm.
illustrate that, like, it's basically like that. This whole thing of what we're talking about here is like that phrase that says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment,
Mm.
would carry
Mm.
water. You know, the only thing that
Mm.
changes your what's going on inside. And even then, what's going on inside might be similar to someone else's, but ultimately it's going to vary. It's going to be different. And that's great. That's good. It's supposed to be like that. We're supposed to have our own experience and our own, like, our
Mm.
own creative time here.
Mm.
So, how do people get a hold of you?
Well, in one way is that they can reach out to me in Instagram or
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, and even I have my website. They can connect with there. Yeah.
All right. Very nice. Well, yes, this is Dilmi. Can you say your last name again?
Dilmi Mahadurage.
Very nice. I want to thank you for joining me on this podcast tonight, Indigo Sessions. It's been my pleasure having you. I want to thank you very much for your time. And yeah, thank you for all the great information. And if you haven't gotten to it yet, check out her book. What's the name of the book?
Life is a Dream.
And
It's
it's
in,
available. It's available
well,
where?
Amazon.
Amazon. Very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for your time. Very much. Thank you very much for your time, Dilmy. I appreciate you. You
Thank you
take
for
care.
having me, Anthony.
All
It's
right.
nice talk, like having this session with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you take care and we'll talk soon.
Sure. Take care.
Thank you.